Right, so welcome back. Today we're going to go into Ableton and make an 80s style song. 80s is all in vogue. Everyone loves the 80s right now. In fact, I think they've loved it for the last 20 years. But with me, you've got an extra advantage because I actually grew up in the 80s. So I know all about the music from that era. Now, when we say 80s music, it's quite difficult to define actually what 80s music is, because a lot of people hear synth wave and all that sort of stuff and they think that's 80s, but in the 80s there's all sorts of music that came out. There's like music like Prince, which was like really funky and deep, and then there was stuff like Bronski beat, which was kind of like soulful and technologic, and there was Yazoo and just loads of different bands with different styles. The things that they had in common was at the time they used basically the same technology. So they used the same types of analog type synths that we all love today. And I think that's probably why 80s music is so revered. The best way to start in Ableton is to use a drum machine. There's one called LD Core. That means Lindrum. Lindrum is kind of the drum machine of the early 80s that Prince used. This is obviously an emulation, but let's just bring that in and let's just come up with just a simple beat for now, just to get us started. So there you go. You've got this Lindrum. Let's just hear a bit of it. Doesn't sound great, but it's got all the sort of the samples from that Severa. Insert empty MIDI clip, and let's just fold this baby. Start with the bass drum. Now they didn't really have swing or anything like that. It's just all pretty sort of, everything's on the beat. So let's just try every second. Kind of at the end there you have like a clap. And you might have two claps right at the back end. Just on the offbeat, you might have cowbell. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start messing. So this is actually a little bit like a Lindrum, because you could tune everything in a Lindrum. So that's the first bit. We've done the first bit, which is kind of getting a sort of simple drums together. It doesn't sound great, but you know, just trust me, this will get better. So we're going to go now, and I'm going to pull up this is not an Ableton plugin. This is a Valhalla plugin. I just think it's a really good vintage 80s type sounding one. So I'm going to use that on the snare. So I'm going to just attach it to the snare. And it has this preset called gated reverbs. So let's just select gated snare. Toys plugin called Pan Man. We'll just use that on the tambourine. It just does a bit of panning for you. And what you need after that is you need this incredible 80s synth. It's called a Model 84 by Softtube. It's kind of an 80s style synth. So I'm just going to audition some sounds. I'm going to keep it a long reverb tail, because even though it's 80s and sidechain wasn't invented, I'm going to be using a sidechain. What I'm going to do is just a technique of mine, and you've probably seen me do this a few times. I'm going to, this is a pad, right? So I'm just going to, wherever I see bass notes, I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to, it's a bit loud, let's put it down a bit. Get rid of that kick start for this. I'm just going to make I'm going to loop this. So I'm going to join the first two notes together. and the second and third notes together. I don't know if this is going to sound good or not. And let's listen to that. We have that, and what we're going to do is going to go in there. We're just going to take one of the preset sounds. We know it's going to sound okay because it's got the same notes as the bass. Everything in this mod 84 sounds 80s. So in the 80s, they would take a chord and play the chords, but then the bass line would just be static. It'd be the same. So we're going to do that here. I'm just going to have the bass line in D. The notes are too long. And now at this point, you obviously have to change the bass. We just start increasing the frequency. That's when we start changing the chords. We can actually do all sorts of stuff like increasing them, because this is what they did in the 80s, just increase them by a tone. So increase them by a tone here, and that means the bass gets increased by a tone. You can see that's different, so we're just going to do the same here. So that's just an 80s thing, but what we can do here is just start changing the drums around. Take a phaser now. Phaser flanger. On a roll, so we just get another duplicate. Now, if you watch my videos, I use this synth here a lot. It's called OPX. go to the drums and get a drum bus and just get the drums sounding kind of nice and tight. And lift up that crunch and that boom. Medium, soft. Just reduce the volume a bit on the drums. That way we've got the drum completely missing the instrumental with this. Get out of each other's way. We're just going to increase the attack so it's much faster in terms of reaction. Alright guys and girls, that's it. I hope you liked it. I'll be putting this on my SoundCloud so you can have a listen. So thanks a lot. And see you next time. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments. I'm always happy to answer them. See you later.